one of my little girls, she posted stuff on the internet at my condo from a long time ago. Mariah, I called Mariah this morning. She like, man, girls posting in your condo. I'm like, oh my God, I hung up on her. I'm gonna dunk on you, cause I'm in jail, baby. You got a girl in the condo a minute ago. I'm like, cut that. It wasn't a minute ago though. It was day before I got locked up, man. But it's a minute ago. It's been a month and a half. Whatever happened, his ass been a month and a half. You can cut that out.
Sure, whatever happened.
Whatever happened, it's been a month and a half. It's been a month and 15 days. So whatever she's doing, man. Well, it's been a month, like 8-10 days or something like that. Like, whatever happened, I ain't doing it with her. So, who-de-do.
Things with Young Thug and Mariah the Scientist just took another wild twist, and it's looking messier by the minute. Everybody already saw the signs when Mariah started pulling away from him, but now the real reason is spilling out loud and clear. She's not just done with him. She's embarrassed.
Girls, a lot of girls hit me up. Asia hit me up out of the blue. What was the girl with the freckles? Remember her?
Yeah, Latasha.
Yeah, she hit me up.
Look, when I come out tonight, I'm gonna call you.
You want me to call her?
Yeah, for sure. So I want you to text her and tell her, for sure.
The turning point came after those jailhouse calls leaked online, exposing every shady move he thought was private. One call in particular had people sick to their stomachs, where he flat out bragged about getting with a corrections officer like it was something to be proud of. Fans couldn't believe he was reckless enough to say that, and Mariah clearly wanted no part in being attached to a scandal that gross.
Wow, I'm so P. Mariah don't even know. I'm in this bitch still fucking. Goddamn CO give it a buck quicker than the FedEx work. He don't be telling my business, man.
But here's the shocking part. Turns out Mariah the Scientist wasn't blindsided at all. She knew about these jail recordings for almost a whole year. She wasn't sitting pretty and clueless. She was out here working overtime trying to stop the truth from spilling. Behind the scenes, she was practically begging people to keep it quiet, scared it would ruin both her image and his.
The most disappointing thing of this whole, thing with Young Thug is he didn't give a fuck about that girl at all. He got Mariah like all fucked up in the head at her shows and shit. That's her money, man. And then on top of that, he got caught saying, I'm still in here fucking. Mariah doesn't even know. And it did that stupid ass laugh at the end of the phone call. Boy, that's some trifling shit. And before motherfuckers get in my comments, especially dudes, they gonna get in my comments saying simp, whatever the fuck. You can say a lot of things, but I'm not fucking trifling. Yeah, I'm not fucking trifling. And another thing, you see how he sat down and he talked about gunna this, gunna that, or whatever. But if Mariah was to go pop out with that motherfucker today, if Mariah was to pop out with Gunna today, like they a couple, or they talking, or they going on dates, or whatever their deal is, they would be the same dudes that would say she's doing him wrong. And that's the fucking funny part of it. If she was to do that, and I know you don't supposed to love nobody out of spite. You don't supposed to give your body to nobody out of spite. You're not supposed to be giving up your body to somebody you're not married to. Of course not. But if she went and did that shit, it's just like I just want to play. I forgot what his name was on the Best Man. You don't think she well in her rights to go get her swerve on for all the shit that you did? You don't think that she has? You don't think she's going to? All right.
And now receipts are popping up. Screenshots of text messages between Mariah and a well-known blogger are floating around, showing her pleading to keep those calls buried. The crazy part? That very blogger is the one holding some of the juiciest recordings, and now those messages are circling online for everyone to see.
The problem with the way that Young Thug did Mariah is that that girl was really writing for him. That's the problem. The problem was that Young Thug was incarcerated for almost 3 years, and that girl was with him screaming, "Free Thug! Free Thug!" Okay? If she had a visitation with him, and it was the same day of one of her performances or her shows, guess what she chose? She chose Thug. She chose Thug over everything, right? And the whole time he was in jail cheating on her. I don't think people understand that, how detrimental that can be to a woman. So you're telling me the whole time I'm envisioning us getting out of jail. I'm praying for you. You know, I'm going through all of that. And I say us getting out of jail because if you're dealing with a man in jail, you're doing it with him, right? And the whole time he's in there on the phone with another woman talking about, you're gonna have my baby. Excuse me. So I'm the dummy here doing everything for you, and at the end of the day, she has your baby. That's the problem. I don't think people understand how Thug really did Mariah. And we all know that she's gonna get back, but it's the hurtful shit. And again, we should be talking about her album in case instead we're talking about how her man was gonna have a whole baby without her behind her back, and how he cheated on her the day right before he went to jail. I don't think y'all understand. If I'm Mariah, yeah.
Back in October 2024, the situation was already boiling behind the scenes, and Mariah was in full panic mode. She wasn't just concerned, she was begging a blogger not to leak those phone calls from Young Thug's jailhouse drama. Screenshots show her straight up pouring her heart out, trying anything she could to stop the audio from dropping. One of the texts that's now making the rounds is chilling to read. Mariah wrote, "I would have been willing to find a creative way to support you. This is seriously hurting me. My relationship has been destroyed in so many ways." That's not just desperation. That's a woman watching her personal and public life collapse at the same time. And instead of saving face, these messages only prove how much she knew, how deep she was involved, and how badly she wanted to bury this scandal before it ruined everything. Mariah's desperation jumps off the screen in the next set of texts, and honestly, it's heartbreaking and scandalous at the same time. She told the blogger straight up, "You have no idea. I've already been embarrassed, and I truly wish this wasn't happening to me. Can you please delete the post? I'm begging you just to work with me as a person, as a woman. This has truly affected me and has taken away my desire to live life to the fullest." That's not just a casual plea, that's rock bottom. And if that wasn't shocking enough, she even tried to cut a deal right then and there. Mariah offered to pay the blogger back for whatever money they had invested into those recordings, basically saying, "If you can let me know what you spent investing in those videos, I will reimburse you." She was ready to put cash on the table just to make this nightmare disappear. The whole thing shows how far she was willing to go to protect her image and erase Young Thug's dirty secrets before the world got wind of them. Mariah didn't stop there. She kept reaching out like someone clinging to her last lifeline. She texted, "Please talk to me," practically begging for dialogue, and the blogger finally responded with, "Can you call me real quick? It's too much to type." That reply alone shows the weight of what they were sitting on. Fast forward to Sunday, October 20th, 2024, Mariah wakes up still in full crisis mode. She texted, "Good morning, was wondering if you could email me some of the stuff." I've had some time to calm down, but clearly her nerves were still shot because she followed it up with another message almost instantly. "Well, good morning, where are you at?" It reads like someone spiraling, desperate for answers, trying to smooth things over, but also terrified about what might leak next. Every line she sent looks like a woman drowning in secrets, hoping someone, anyone, would throw her a rope. The back and forth kept going, and you can really feel how tense it all was. The blogger hit her with a casual message. "Hey, at IV therapy, I'll hit you when I'm back home." Mariah, still holding on to hope, politely replied, "Okay, thank you." Hours later, the blogger followed up with, "Almost home, I'll send it." And then another text landed. "Just sent you a large email file of text messages. Did you get the email?" That alone had Mariah on edge, because whatever was in that file clearly had the power to crush her even more. But the wildest part came when Mariah responded in a way that showed just how fragile she was in that moment. She told the blogger, "Your answer won't change our agreement, but rather will have an effect on how I feel." That line is loaded. It's not business talk, it's raw emotion. It's a woman letting someone know that even if the deal stays the same, her heart and sanity are on the line depending on how this blogger moved next. Mariah's texts only got more revealing, showing just how conflicted she was inside. At one point, she sent a message that read, "Are you agreeing to this because you really understand, or is it about the money?" That right there screams how paranoid she felt, wondering if this person was showing her real compassion or just cashing in on her pain. She followed it up with another plea. "I just want to know that someone understands me." That line makes it clear she wasn't just fighting a scandal. She was craving sympathy, connection, and somebody who could actually see her as more than Young Thug's girlfriend caught in the crossfire. Then, out of nowhere, she brought up a whole other angle, asking, "Would you ever help me look into FOIA process? I'll talk about that later, if I decide I wanted that help." FOIA, as in the Freedom of Information Act. She was seriously thinking about digging into legal ways to protect herself or maybe even get her own receipts. The blogger finally responded with a line that hit hard. "Honestly, Mariah, it's both. From a woman's perspective." That answer alone shows how messy this was. Sympathy mixed with strategy, compassion tangled with money. The blogger's next message flipped the whole situation into something even murkier, mixing business talk with emotional manipulation. They told Mariah, "I feel you. I can understand why you wouldn't want it out. From a business perspective, I'm actually taking a loss financially. But because you absolutely have pulled in my heartstrings, I will make the sacrifice and just rely on the universe to bless me." That's a wild mix of words, basically saying, "This is costing me, but you've touched me enough that I'll take the hit." And then came the kicker. "Yes, I help only if you're strong enough to handle it." That line almost reads like a test, like they were dangling help in front of her but putting the responsibility right back on Mariah's shoulders. It wasn't just about the recordings anymore. It turned into a strange push and pull where money, sympathy, and power were all tangled up. The blogger painted themselves as someone making a noble sacrifice, but at the same time, their words made it clear they were holding the cards, and Mariah had no choice but to play along. Mariah finally let out a sigh of relief, replying, "I appreciate you, honestly." The blogger came back with a simple, "Thank you," almost like the deal had been sealed. For a moment, it looked like Mariah had won this quiet battle. The blogger actually kept their word and didn't leak the recordings. But here's the twist that makes this whole situation even more tragic. Those calls were never really safe to begin with. Jailhouse conversations are considered public record, which means anyone with the right access could still get their hands on them. And that's exactly what happened. Even though this one blogger showed her mercy, other people swooped in, grabbed the recordings, and started leaking them piece by piece. So in the end, all of Mariah's desperate begging, all the deals, all the emotional breakdowns, it couldn't stop the inevitable. The truth was always one step away from spilling out into the public, and eventually, it did. Now here's the real kicker. Yeah, the blogger technically kept their word about not leaking the audio, but they still ended up doing Mariah dirty. Instead of protecting her like she thought, they flipped the script and exposed the text messages to the world, blasting out every desperate plea she had typed. And the wildest part, word on the street is Mariah even paid them, allegedly, to keep things quiet, only to get betrayed in the end. That move alone explains so much about what we've been seeing from her lately. If you caught my last video, I showed you clips of Mariah performing where she looked absolutely crushed, like the weight of the whole situation was sitting heavy on her shoulders. Now it makes sense. She wasn't just sad. She was performing with the whole world watching her humiliation unfold in real time. Every lyric she sang probably felt like it was echoing back at her with the receipts of her private breakdown on display. When Mariah sang "Is It a Crime" on stage the other day, fans thought they were just watching another performance. But now, we know it was so much deeper. That wasn't just music. That was heartbreak bleeding out through every note. People assumed she was reacting to fresh news about Young Thug's cheating. But the truth is, she had been carrying that pain for nearly a whole year. Behind the scenes, she wasn't just protecting herself. She was desperately trying to shield both of them from public humiliation, clinging to a love story that was already cracked wide open. Every smile she forced, every lyric she sang, it was her way of covering up the truth she already knew. But honestly, she was fighting a battle she could never win. Deep down, she must have realized the walls were closing in. And once those recordings hit the streets, there was no way to stop the storm from destroying everything she tried so hard to hold together. Let's circle back to something really telling from those text messages. When Mariah brought up looking into the FOIA process, trying to figure out a way to stop more leaks through legal channels. For anyone who doesn't know, FOIA stands for the Freedom of Information Act. It's a law that allows everyday people, not just lawyers or journalists, to file requests and get access to government records and documents. Now imagine how desperate Mariah had to be to even bring that up. She wasn't just venting, she was already thinking about legal maneuvers, trying to see if she could use the system itself to block people from digging deeper into Young Thug's mess. That little mention shows her mind wasn't just on damage control, it was on survival mode. She was looking for any possible loophole that could keep the ugliest parts of this scandal buried before they blew up even worse than they already had. So when Mariah brought up the FOIA process, it wasn't some random question. It was her trying to figure out if there was any legal loophole that could stop those jail calls from seeing the light of day. Since the calls happened inside a government facility, they automatically fall under government records, and that's why she thought maybe FOIA could give her a fighting chance. But here's the painful truth. Jail calls are almost always considered public record, no matter how personal or messy they are. Once they exist, anybody who knows how to file the right paperwork or has the right access can get them, and that's why they end up floating around online so easily. So while Mariah was scrambling to find some legal shield, the reality was she never really had one. Those recordings were basically ticking time bombs, just waiting for someone to push them out to the world, and no text, no plea, and no legal trick was strong enough to keep them locked away forever. So even if Mariah had tried to flip FOIA in her favor, The truth is, it probably wouldn't have saved her. Those calls were never really protected. Anybody who knew the system could file a request and get their hands on them. And that's exactly what ended up happening with Whack 100 and others who pushed the recordings out into the spotlight. Imagine the stress Mariah must have been under, knowing deep down she was fighting a losing battle. She kept trying to keep everything on the hush, begging bloggers, making deals, even hinting at legal moves. But secretly she knew the bomb could drop at any moment. That kind of pressure eats away at you. Performing on stage, doing interviews, smiling for cameras, all while knowing the receipts of your humiliation were floating out there, just waiting to surface. It wasn't a matter of if they'd come out, it was just a matter of when. When that very first recording hit the blogs, you can only imagine the pit that dropped in Mariah's stomach. That sinking feeling must have been unbearable, because she knew exactly what was on the way. One leak was bad enough, but the real nightmare was the domino effect. Day after day, more calls slipping out, each one worse than the last, each one dragging her deeper into the chaos. And the scariest part? She probably knows there are even more recordings out there, ones that haven't surfaced yet, and she's just praying they stay buried. That type of anxiety is brutal. Waking up every morning not knowing if today's the day another bombshell drops. The world only hears the messy clips, but Mariah already lived through them in real time, and she knows exactly how damaging the next batch could be. That's why her silence now speaks louder than anything, because deep down, she's terrified that the worst is still waiting to come out. At the end of the day, no matter how hard she tried, Mariah couldn't keep the truth hidden forever. Those recordings were like a ticking time bomb, and once they finally exploded through other sources, it was the last straw for her. She had already been carrying months of pain in silence, fighting to keep her dignity while shielding Young Thug at the same time. But when the world suddenly had front row seats to the very things she fought hardest to bury, it broke her in ways a breakup alone never could. Now everyone could hear the disrespect, the betrayal, and the recklessness she had tried to hide, and that embarrassment hit harder than anything. It's one thing to know your man did you dirty, but it's another thing when millions of strangers get to listen in like they're part of your private heartbreak. So now I want to hear from you. What do you think about these text messages and the way this whole mess unfolded? There are still plenty of people out here who feel like Mariah isn't going anywhere, that no matter what, she's still locked in with Young Thug. Some fans swear all this heartbreak and breakup talk is just a facade, a storyline to save face in public while secretly keeping their bond alive behind the scenes. Others believe this whole mess is being spun just to protect her image, so she doesn't look foolish for standing by a man caught up in scandal after scandal. And let's be real. Hip-hop couples have pulled stunts like this before, pretending to split when in reality they're still sneaking around together. That's why so many are questioning if Mariah truly cut ties or if this is just smoke and mirrors. Now here's the real debate. Do you think she actually left him for good? Or is this just cap, as in a made-up storyline to throw us off? Is she finally free from all the lies and embarrassment? Or is she still too deep in love with Thug to walk away completely? The text messages, the performances, the tears, it all looks real. But in this industry, appearances can be deceiving. So, I want to hear from you. What's your take? Did Mariah really slam the door shut on Young Thug? Or is she still riding for him in secret? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more because this story is far from over and the next twist might be even crazier.